Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today we are doing chapter 79 of Stepping Wild. As Darna had mentioned, easily more than half the town was fine with so many city folks living there. Living there. Even with the strain on their food it caused. Even Rachel handed cuts of her kills to other taverns to prepare and share. Tibs wanted to do more to help, but short of going out on his own and bringing back enough meat for everyone, which would cause everyone to ask questions, which caused them to ask questions, the best he could do was the same as the hunter, hand over some of the tubers he collected to those going hungry. Over the days he went gathering with her, he sensed as far as he could for a sign of a dungeon. Her hunting grounds extended half a day away from the village, from nearly full Nadir to full Sunrise Ward. It felt small to him, but with how dense the animal population was, it seemed to be enough. What it was, to him, was limiting. She wouldn't let him wander off because she didn't want him to get hurt. Her concern wasn't justified, but she had no way to know. After a week of having brought enough for Darna to have surplus of tubers, Tibbs decided he needed a break, or at least it's what he told Rachel when she came for him at the tavern. She seemed relieved and concerned at his decision. She had Nadir as usual, and he kept track of her out of habit, having learned the pattern of her essence enough that he could sense her among the rest of the village's essence unless he stopped paying attention. He was about to shift his focus as she passed the wall, but she headed Sunset Ward instead of the usual further Nadir, or Sunrise Ward. He sensed in that direction, and, other than the density of the animals, nothing struck him as unusual. Maybe she'd felt there were too many of them for him to be safe. He wandered the village before exiting the Sunrise Gate with a group of loggers and farmers. They headed Nadir while he turned zenith. They didn't call after him. He gave himself half the day to explore for a sign of a dungeon. He didn't want he gave himself half of the day to explore for a sign of a dungeon. He didn't want Darna and the others to wonder where he'd gone, so needed to be back before they ate. The first day kept him close to the village as he traveled from the Sunrise Gate to the Sunset one, keeping away from the other hunters. The village didn't have enough of them for their current population, so they went out every day and returned multiple times. He wondered how long the animal population could survive this drain. The herds still seemed dense, but eventually the hunters would have to venture much deeper. Once he made it to the Sunset Gate, he moved deeper into the forest and returned Sunrise Ward. He had to run along the canopy each morning to return to where he'd left off the previous day, but he made steady progress toward not finding anything. His search was interrupted by the supplies running low and going tuber gathering with Rachel. It was Nadir and Sunrise Ward again. When that refilled the supplies, he returned to his search. Tibbs rested by the stream, listening to it run and sensing the complete lack of people. He was now deep enough that unless he pushed his sense to his limits, the only life the only life was the only life essence was that of the plant and animals. There was a calm that made him miss his travels, him alone with the wilderness. A few more weeks and Tillian would move on. Thailand would move on. Hopefully, the next city along the road wouldn't have a library or university, and he could gather the money for his research without attracting the notice of the copper-haired hunter. He resumed his walking, sensing for anything dungeon mail. Simtor, there's another one approaching. The voice was deep. Okay. You know what? I established that the dungeon cannot tell people apart yet, so that's what it would be. Simtor, they're back. The voice was deep, but had an eagerness to it that made it feel young. Tibbs almost stopped in surprise and gave away he'd heard them. He sensed, trying to determine where the dungeon's entrance was, but none of the trees there were dungeon made. Could the dungeon's influence reach further than his sense? That would make it old, with many floors. He restrained his eagerness. Old meant crafty, and with so many trees, if you surprised them, a violent reaction could kill him. And they'd said back. Oh. Okay. Now I can use. Actually, no, right. They may not be able to tell. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to go back. Because Tibbs is different enough that they would be able to tell it's not the same one. Okay. Oh, that one is different. A new voice said, Simtor, Tibbs figured, not as deep, but also with eagerness. He had the impression they were very young, with enough eagerness. He had the impression they were very young. Wonder what that means. Simtor would be the dungeon then. I don't know, the first voice said. Do you think I need to change it? With all that essence, it might expect more. Double it, Simtor said. I think I should use something else. I'm running out of metal essence for them. I wasn't. Okay, it's not going to be. I wasn't expecting one. I was expecting one so quickly. Nothing else seems to work. There was no sense of direction to the voices, so Tibs kept moving forward, attentive for the shift in essence that would mark the entrance. Why is it moving past? The first voice said. I told you to increase it, Simtor said. It has to mean the more essence they have, the more they need. Tibbs stopped. Hadn't passed anything dungeon made, but they spoke like he had. He sensed in the distance, to his left and right, maybe they meant he was now walking away instead of toward, although he didn't know what him needing more could mean. Nothing. For him not to sense the entrance meant it was far, so what? Why couldn't he shake the feeling of inexperience as he listened to the dungeon and helper comment on his progress? He wanted to ask them, but he wanted to be inside them where they would have the comfort of completely controlling the environment as security. Hopefully that would keep them from overreacting. And the mention of the other nagged at him. He was far from the village, but not so far someone couldn't wander here. There had been no talk of people vanishing, but with so many city folk seeking refuge. How long? until someone noticed one of them was gone. That they'd decided it wasn't someone moving on. Families would notice immediately, but those wouldn't wander far. Lone people wouldn't be missed. He pulled his sense closer. Someone had come recently. Maybe they dropped something outside the dungeon's influence he could use to get an idea of where the entrance was. What he sensed instead was a box, a dungeon-made box. Yes, it's going for it, the first voice said. They were the dungeon. They were the one who talked of running out of essence. He stopped at the edge of the clearing. It was circular, with grass low enough Tibs expected deers eating it. In the center was a box made of branches and leaves, a chest in the middle of an innocent-looking clearing. He crouched and brought his sense in until it was I don't need the only. It was the radius of the clearing. This tight, he'd be able to sense whatever trap the dungeons hid. What is it doing? It asked. Maybe they're trying to decide if you put enough in the box? Simtar answered. All he could sense was the space under the clearing, a sense radiating from a central point to his left, a concentration of it, dense, so dense in that so dense he couldn't make out any individual essences. No traps, no essence in the earth or grass other than the chest, and now that he focused, a line joining it to what radiated from the core. An unguarded chest? He remained on his guard as he approached it. It's going for it, the dungeon said with so much eagerness that nearly backed away. He made it without a trap triggering, without a creature manifesting, or there's a trouble coming up with something else the dungeon could throw at him. Everything fell into the category of traps, creatures, or puzzles. If there was a puzzle here, it was the chest itself. He crouched before it. The branches didn't look as if they'd grown from the ground, but as if they'd been gathered and lashed together in the form of a box, almost as if the dungeon wanted it to be noticed. The top was mostly leaves, and Tibs sensed nothing hidden among them, other than being dungeon-made. They were normal. At the bottom of the chest was a pile of metal. He carefully opened it, ready for the dungeon to do something unexpected. Nothing happened. At the bottom of the chest were seven metal arrowheads. What is going on here? He whispered, taking one. It was worn, they all were, and in the same way. He expected they'd still be usable, but no one would take them for being newly made. He put it back. What's it doing? The dungeon asked. I told you to add more, Centaur replied. Tib stood. Okay, you need to explain yourself. I told you I'm out of metal. It's not that as easy as to gather as you think, Centaur. I keep telling you to reach further, Carliac. There was a bunch of it, so you can just reach further and get more. What's going to happen when they decide it's not worth coming anymore? I don't know what you think I can do, but I'm reaching as far as I can. I need you two to stop arguing, Tib said. Just try harder. I said stop. What's it doing? Carly asked. I'm trying to stop you two from arguing so we can talk. He pointed to the chest. What is this about? Is it talking to you? Centaur asked. Can they do that? Why didn't it before? Tib sighed. That wasn't me, and she can't talk to you. It was fully sunset ward from the village, but he hadn't tracked Rachel very far. He figured this was where she'd gotten her arrowheads, and why she'd been relieved when he decided not to go gathering. What am I supposed to do now? I don't know, the dungeon asked. I don't know, Simtor replied. How did the helper not know? All right. Mirka hadn't known anyone could speak with Stowe. Neither... Mirka? Mirka? This should be Ganny. Yeah, all right. Ganny had known anyone could speak with Stowe. Neither had any of the helpers of the dungeons he'd talked with over the years. But they were there to help a dungeon be a dungeon. This clearing didn't feel like a dungeon. But you should start from the beginning. Hi, I'm Tibs. Hi, the dungeon said after stretching silence. I'm Karliak. Who's your helper? He asked when no one continued. If you can hear us, Simtor said, how come you don't know our names? I know them. I'm being polite. Come on, Karliak said. Be polite too. What does that even mean? It asked. That you should give it your name. I'm Simtor, they said in a somewhat flat tone. I'm glad to meet both of you. This was going better than with Furman. Are we supposed to be glad too? Simtor asked. I don't know. That depends on how you feel about talking with me. Confused? I'm definitely confused. I'm rather curious as to how you can talk with us, Karliak said. Why did you wait so long to do it? Hmm. Ah. Okay. Yeah, I kind of forgot that they can tell the difference, which means they know he's not the previous one. So this needs to be altered somewhat. And why didn't the other one do it too? Um, yeah, this is going to change some things. Oh boy, that's gonna change. I think it's gonna change a fair chunk. The other do it too. No, because she can't. What do you mean it can't? And basically, what I'm trying to do here is change as little as possible so I can get back on track. People can't talk with you. Tips frowned. Simtor, didn't you explain to Karliak about people? Was I supposed to? What are people? Yeah, second draft will definitely do a lot of work on this, but I think this works. It's actually second draft. I am going to be doing second draft of these chapters, even though I am in a second draft of the book because these chapters are new. Um, was I supposed to? What are people? How do you not know what people are? It's part of what you need to know to teach Karliak how to be a dungeon. They should have taught you that before you came. Oh, I wasn't supposed to be Karliak's helper. Whose helper were you supposed to be? I don't know. Whoever came after Karliak? That helper had to go to another dungeon when one just appeared. So I was told they were sent, or so I was told when they sent me here. And you didn't get any training ahead of time? No. Although I think they thought I had. They sent me off with a remember your training warning, then I was here. It happened very quickly, and we've been doing well, I think. He looked at the chest with arrowheads. All right. I think you do need some help. Are you willing to let me help you? You know about us? Karliak asked, surprised. I'm a runner. That means I've had to survive dungeons. I'm friend with one. His name is Stowe. His name's Stowe. She's Ganny. His helper is Ganny. When they didn't react, he figured the names had no meaning for them. It reinforced that dungeon who knew each other were extremely rare. Survive? Karliak asked. And runners are the ones who can talk with me? Because I have a habit of going on, getting sidelined and forgetting what the main point was. Uh, yes. So what dungeons are like you are about. You set trap, make creatures and puzzles to challenge the runners. But no. I'm the only one who can talk with dungeons, as far as I know. I really wish you'd said something about. I really wish it's. I really wish the other had said something about that. Cardiac grumbled, it's not like I have a lot to make anything after everything I gave. Right. People. Tibs couldn't remember ever having to explain what people were. Even Stowe had known because of the runners. He'd had to explain to Furman people mattered, but they were like they were like dungeons and that they could think and want and be scared, but they had known people were something. I am people. Uh, that's gonna change, Uh, you said you are a runner. Karliak replied. Uh, Runners are a kind of people. How come? I think I can keep the how come. Uh, but that changes. Um, because calls us. I don't. Why? Uh, to rub his temple. Um, they feel like calling us something. It changes over time. Okay. There are a lot of people we've been around for a very long time. Scholars argue over how we came to be. What are scholar? A kind of people. They like to read and ask a lot of questions about everything, and they think they know just about everything. About anything, and they think they know just about everything, when they don't know as much as they think, especially um, when it comes to dungeon. Are you a scholar? Are scholars the same thing as runners? Uh, no. Oh, this wasn't helping. I'm a runner. I just happen to like reading. Like reading, and Tibbs wished he had someone to glare at. Did you just insult me? You said scholar are people who think they know a lot of stuff, but I don't when it comes to Carliac. But don't when it comes to Carliac. They don't because they never talk with a dungeon. They didn't have Stowe as their friends like I did. He and Genny answered a lot of my questions, and I talked with other dungeons over the years. I don't know everything, but I know the basics. Okay. He was thrown by the acceptance. He'd expected he expected they were heading towards an argument about the worth of his knowledge about dungeons. So, people, there are a lot of us. There's a village. That's a place where many of them gather, about half a day's walk in that direction. That's not where you came from, Cardiac said. I've been wandering the forest. Why? Simtor asked. Looking for you. Me? For whichever dungeon might be here. I wasn't certain there would be one. I'm glad I found you. I'm glad you found me too, Carliot said. You are? Simtor asked. It said it was. This is like when it gave its name, I think. Another thing, when referring to me, please use he or him. What are those? Simtor asked. They're how we refer to people. Men are he, women are she. What are women? A different kind of people. How did he explain differences between men and women to a dungeon? Can you sense how I'm different from the person before? This becomes yes. All that essence. Right. Which meant they wouldn't be able to tell Rachel apart from anyone else who might have taken from the chest. What? Okay. Yeah, another place where. What do you feel like? What do I feel like to you, Carliac? Uh, lots, lots of essence. What else? What else? Right? Brighter than. Um. Okay. Yeah. This is another place that I'm gonna have to make changes because this no longer works. Uh. Okay. Uh. No. Ah. No, okay, Tim. I should be able to tell my essence apart and see that it's repeated. If you compare that to the other person, you'll. What's a person? Carliac asked. Another word for people. So much for keeping this simple. Why have two words for the same thing? Centaur asked. Tip snorted. If only it was just two. People like to complicate things at times, but yes, um, when she comes, yeah. Well, you know what? No, I can keep that like that because at this point he hasn't made his plan on how he's going to help the dungeon. So, okay, when she comes here again, if you pay attention to her essence, you'll see it's different than mine. Um, Oh, actually, okay, no, this is his reasoning. He doubted he could stop her from another visit before he taught Karliak enough to be a dungeon. Not unless he explained things he didn't want her or anyone in the village to know. Okay, not as bright. Yes, but also different in how it's arranged. Every people has different arrangement of essence. It's one way to recognize them. What do I do with knowing how to tell them apart? How did the dungeon use that? How had Stowe? You can learn what different people can do, so make changes to your floor. We'll get to that later. For example, you said that sometimes the people visiting there doesn't seem to like the arrowheads. Those are what's in the chest. If you can tell people apart, I think you'll realize it's someone different and they will prefer other things. So, if I know who's coming, I can put the right thing in the chest so they'll come back again. Kaliak said excitedly. Yes, but you shouldn't be making it so easy to reach the chest. Why do I want to make it hard? They aren't going to come back if they can't get what's in the chest. This could be dangerous. The village was close, all things considered, and he was confident two of them already knew about Karliak, although they might not understand what they were. If he taught them to be a dungeon, someone wouldn't survive. How long until that? After that, until the story spread. Can you move? Stowe had moved the location of his core within his deeper floor, but was that the extent? I can move about what I feel, they replied. I mean your core. Can you move what? Can you move where it's located? I don't know. Simtor, is that something I can do? He's the one who knows about dungeons. We said there was a spot with more essence. More metal essence, Tip said. There was more essence. In which direction? That way. Tips chuckled. I'm going to need more than that. I don't know what you expect me to do. He sensed and found many pockets with higher concentration of metal in them. Deep or close to the surface. The surface is where the grass is. The what? How could they talk if things like grass wasn't something they knew? He ran a hand through the grass. This is wood essence thick. It's this wood essence thick covering. Then it's kind of close to that. Okay. Then I'd like you to try to move toward where that essence was. If it helps, there should be more of it in that direction. So you'll be able to absorb more. Absorb that. How do I do that? Move. That I don't know. So Karliak might not be able to. Maybe, but if they try, I will at least know. You can tell me how it went when I return in a few days. Why are you leaving? I can't have other people wonder what's happened to me. So I have to return to village before the sun is too low, before the light essence diminishes too much, he added, thinking that would be easier for the dungeon to understand. Okay, I'll try that. Good. See you later then. See you later? The dungeon replied, sounding uncertain. And that concludes chapter 79 of Stepping Wild. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter will be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read this story, it is up on Royal Road for free. If you want to read ahead of that and support me in the process that is on Ream Story. If you are looking to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. Links are in the notes, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.